What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. Many mistakes lead me to ravenous haze. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze, which will block my gaze. Illusory ways make feelings that don't stay. In and out they face. Is it always that? My tangible wishes are just out of reach. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze, which will block my gaze. Illusory ways make feelings that don't stay. In and out they fade. Is it always that? My intangible wishes are just out of reach.
やれやれ。退屈だと言って何も行動せず、刺激を求める割には挑戦しない。
Feelings that don't stay. Feelings that don't stay. Feelings that don't stay.
いいかい埼玉市。人生は当てのない旅だよ。新しい景色を見るためには自分で道を切り開くしかないんだ。
Is it always that? Is it always that? My intangible wishes are just out of reach. Are just out of reach. Is it always that? Is it always that?
What? There's nothing wrong.
Kyo. me what's wrong. Kyo. Tell me what's wrong. Kyo. Tell me what's wrong.
Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. So come be merry with me. Oh, come be merry with me. Come on, be merry with me. Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. Whoa, what's shaking, dudes? Hope things have been shimmying and shammying all day long for you, in the best way possible. Heck yeah, dudes! It's I'm glad to be here. I got my little gaggle of wildflowers here to listen to me read a little story, and you know what? That makes me giddy, and gleeful and joyful and all that dandy stuff. Hope everybody's day has been going real well. I'm feeling super refreshed because I at noon felt like the most intense groggy wave of grogginess phase over me in an instant, and I fell asleep in 2 seconds flat, which is rare for me, right? Normally I lay down and I get comfy and I breathe deep and try to let my thoughts wander until I fade out into sleep. But this time for the nap, I just conked out, straight up conked out, and it was super nice. Woke up feeling refreshed as heck, and went over to my practice. Did what I could in the flips department. Mostly was just conditioning, doing some strengthening stuff. I did get to do some flips though. Thankfully we have trampolines and junk, which is a little easier on my ankle. Bless the trampolines. Because I was able to do some flips. And that always tends to, brighten my day a bit. And now I came back and I showered up, got ready for the stream, prepped things, noodled on some lyric ideas for the Thursday nights. I'm wanting to create an intro for
all of the nights that that I have prepped for this stream. So I want one for like the D&D stream as well, and I'm considering it, and I can share with you guys like the noodling that I've done. If you guys would like, what I'm thinking about is, because, not to spoil things, but you'll quickly learn in the world that one of the main shticks to the world is that the sun is gone. It has vanished from the world that we are on. And so, like, my idea currently is this idea for some lyrics that go something like, do the stars look back when I look at them? Do they know how much I need them? I need their light now that mine is gone. That's pretty much all I got so far. And I think that would fit like pretty nicely into like a lyric melody. And I think I dig those lyrics so far. But yeah, that's what I'm noodling on so far with that one. And then I don't know what I'm doing with the fantasy one yet. But I guess I don't know. I got a noodle with lyrics and in my music making software for that. But hey, frick, how are you guys doing? That's just a little tidbit, little view or glance into my day and my world. But how are you guys? Has the day been going well? Has there been trials or tribulations that you've had to overcome? Did you wake up feeling good? Or did the good feelings kind of come like as the day proceeded? I know it's not often that I wake up feeling like giddy as a goose. Not much happened. That can be good though, dude. Having like a normal day, that can be nice. So long as it's kind of like a neutral day, that's pretty alright. Normally when that happens, like I find that those are some of my most balanced days, where like not too much happened, but in that regard, like there weren't any like extreme ups or extreme downs. You know what I mean? And that can be a good thing. Nice, man. I don't know. I would be happy like if nothing too much happened. But however, I also somewhat don't believe that. Again, when I look to my day, there's still things that I can like pluck out that were cool about it, like for instance, in I don't know, when I was taking like a shower, one of my like favorite songs came on, and I started like jamming in the shower, and I've been doing that recently, where like as I'm putting on my body wash and junk, I bust a move. I know it's dangerous. I know it's I know it's precarious to dance in the shower, but don't worry about it, dude, because I have that on lockdown now, and it's been something that's been like giving me a great delight, when I go to wash and whatnot. But heck yeah. Right on, guys. Let's go ahead and do our. I just realized I'm looking at like the camera. This angle especially, my hair's looking like Sonic the gosh dang hedgehog. Is that just me? I decided to just kind of like let my hair do its own thing after I put the gel in. So this is the result. I don't know how much it's working for me, but it is. Dude, feel free to say what you like, dude, please. This is A, you're a moderator, and B, this is a safe space. If you want to tell me I look like Sonic the Hedgehog, tell me I look like Sonic the Hedgehog. I bet you whatever you say will simply give me a giggle or a ha ha. Well, word. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into our recap. Last we left off, if I ever have to tell you that again, I will for sure. Good, man, good. I need to know these things. Sweetness. So last we left off in Bazam, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. We saw our heroes, after losing a dear friend, after he had sacrificed himself in order to get them away from Calyptus and what's the other one? Cyrus? Anyways, the two powerful monsters that guard the way into the Sea of Monsters. One, a vortex that sucks everything in the sea towards it, and the other, a monster on a high cliff that snatches up anything from below and brings it up to its great height to devour it. They made it through thanks to Tyson. It's unclear what happened to Clarice and her gaggle of dead Confederates. But Annabeth and Percy made it out safe with the skin of their neck. Is that the phrase? By the skin of their neck. Yes, I think so. And they wound up coming to like a spa. Yeah, dude, her gaggle of ghouls. Also, what's up, Keaton? How you doing, dude? Hope your day has been pretty splendid, So they wound up finding, like, out of the blue, land, which was a great sight for their eyes, because they'd been traveling on the water on like a little raft for quite a while. He's been full of nothing, man. Seems like that's a trend. I don't know, no highlights like whatsoever. I don't know. I know it's the easy thing to just kind of type out. It's been whatever, but I want to know. I want to know if there's been like something that you felt was cool today. I don't know. So they found a spa, right? Like this incredible looking, like beautiful terrace of like pools and waterfalls. This marble cacophony of just beauty and relaxation. They came into it and met a lady by the name of Circe, who initially greeted them and told them things about how they weren't reaching their full potential. And in doing so, like Percy and Annabeth started to doubt themselves and really agree that man, there's a lot of things about me that I don't like that could be improved. And she was promising that all those things could be improved like that. And that's a tantalizing offer. She even showed them, she even showed Percy like the version of himself that he truly wanted to be. But alas, it was a trick, because Circe was the daughter of Hecate, the god of magic, or the goddess of magic, and she in turn is a sorceress who hates men. So Percy was turned into a guinea pig, and put with the rest of the men who had come to that island. But thankfully, Annabeth quickly realized when she returned that something was wrong. Recognized that the guinea pigs were actually, one of them was actually her good friend Percival, or Perseus. Not Percival, what the heck. And defeated, Circe at her own game by taking Hermes's multivitamins, taking one herself and then dumping the rest into the guinea pig cage, where burst forth from the guinea pigs was Perseus and a bunch of pirates, and not just any pirates, but Blackbeard and his crew. And as the pirates decided to take their revenge after being there for like 300 years or something, 3 centuries, Percy and Annabeth thought to make their escape. So they definitely did. They found, when they got to the docks, they weren't sure exactly what ship to take, but one ship called to Percy, and that happened to be the Queen Anne's Revenge, which is Blackbeard's ship. When he got on, he said a word that just came to him out of nowhere, and all of the things started to just do themselves, and they were off and on the water in what seemed like no time, which was quite a miracle. And they left, Blackbeard and the boys on the docks, yelling out at him, saying, "Yarg, they stole me ship." But all they did was like, "Sorry, dude, we needed to save our camp and our best friend. Peace." So yeah, that's what happened last time, and that's where we left off. So, without further ado, that was a bit of a in-depth recap, but I hope it was appreciated. But now we are at chapter 13. We're about, I think, a little over halfway through the book, so let's keep on going with it. So, this is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. 13. Annabeth tries to swim home. I'd finally found something I was really good at. The Queen Anne's Revenge responded to my every command. I knew which ropes to hoist, which sails to raise, which direction to steer. We plowed through the waves at what I figured was about 10 knots. I even understood how fast that was. For a sailing ship, pretty darn fast. It all felt perfect. The wind in my face, the waves breaking over the prow. But now that we were out of danger, all I could think about was how much I missed Tyson, and how worried I was about Grover. I couldn't get over how badly I'd messed up on Circe's Island. If it hadn't have been for Annabeth, I'd still be a rodent. Hiding in a hutch with a bunch of cute furry pirates. I thought about what Circe had said. "See, Percy? You've unlocked your true self." I still felt changed. Not just because I had a sudden desire to eat lettuce. I felt jumpy, like the instinct to be a scared little animal was now a part of me. Or maybe it had always been there. That's what really worried me. We sailed through the night. Annabeth tried to help me keep lookout, but sailing didn't agree with her. After a few hours rocking back and forth, her face turned the color of guacamole, and she went below to lie in a hammock. I watched the horizon. More than once I spotted monsters. A plume of water as tall as a skyscraper spewed into the moonlight. A row of green spines slithered across the waves. Something maybe 100 feet long, reptilian. I didn't really want to know. Once I saw Nereids, the glowing lady spirits of the sea. I tried to wave at them, but they disappeared into the depths, leaving me unsure whether they'd seen me or not. Sometime after midnight, Annabeth came up onto the deck. We were just passing a smoking volcano island. The sea bubbled and steamed around the shore. "One of the forges of Hephaestus," Annabeth said. "Where he makes his metal monsters." "Like the bronze bowls?" She nodded. "Go around. Far around." I didn't need to be told twice. We steered clear of the island, and soon it was just a red patch of haze behind us. I looked at Annabeth. "The reason you hate Cyclopses so much, the story about how Thalia really died, what happened?" It was hard to see her expression in the dark. "I guess you deserve to know," she said finally. "The night Grover was escorting us to camp, he got confused, took some wrong turns. You remember he told you that once?" I nodded. "Well, the worst wrong turn was into a Cyclops' lair in Brooklyn." "They've got Cyclopses in Brooklyn?" I asked. "You wouldn't believe how many. But that's not the point. This Cyclops, he tricked us. He managed to split us up inside this maze of corridors in an old house in Flatbush. And he could sound like anyone, Percy. Just the way Tyson did aboard the Princess Andromeda. He lured us one at a time. Thalia thought she was running to save Luke. Luke thought he heard me scream for help. And me, I was alone in the dark. I was 7 years old. I couldn't even find the exit." She brushed the hair out of her face. "I remember finding the main room. There were bones all over the floor, and there were Thalia and Luke and Grover, tied up and gagged, hanging from the ceiling like smoked hams. The Cyclops was starting a fire in the middle of the floor. I drew my knife, but he heard me. He turned and smiled. He spoke, and somehow he knew my dad's voice. I guess he just plucked it out of my mind. He said, 'Now, Annabeth, don't you worry. I love you. You can stay here with me. You can stay forever.'" I shivered. The way she told it, even now, 6 years later, freaked me out worse than any ghost story I'd ever heard. "What did you do?" "I stabbed him in the foot." I stared at her. "Are you kidding? You were 7 years old and you stabbed a grown Cyclops in the foot?" "Oh, he would have killed me. But I surprised him. It gave me just enough time to run to Thalia and cut the ropes on her hands. She took it from there." "Yeah, but still, that was pretty brave, Annabeth." She shook her head. We barely got out alive. I still have nightmares, Percy. The way that Cyclops talked in my father's voice. It was his fault we took so long getting to camp. All the monsters who'd been chasing us had time to catch up. That's really why Thalia died. If it hadn't have been for that Cyclops, she'd still be alive today. We sat on the deck, watching the Hercules constellation rise in the night sky. "Go below," Annabeth told me at last. "You need some rest." I nodded. My eyes were heavy. But when I got below and found a hammock, it took me a long time to fall asleep. I kept thinking about Annabeth's story. I wondered, if I were her, would I have had enough courage to go on this quest, to sail straight toward the lair of another Cyclops? I didn't dream about Grover. Instead, I found myself back in Luke's stateroom, aboard the Princess Andromeda. The curtains were open. It was nighttime outside. The air swirled with shadows. Voices whispered all around me. Spirits of the dead. "Beware," they whispered. "Traps. Trickery." Kronos' golden sarcophagus glowed faintly, the only source of light in the room. A cold laugh startled me. It seemed to come from miles below the ship. "You don't have the courage, young one. You cannot stop me. I knew what I had to do. I had to open that coffin. I uncapped Riptide. Ghosts whirled around me like a tornado. Beware. My heart pounded. I couldn't make my feet move, but I had to stop Kronos. I had to destroy whatever was in that box. Then a girl spoke right next to me. Well, seaweed brain? I looked over, expecting to see Annabeth, but the girl wasn't Annabeth. She wore punk-style clothes with silver chains on her wrists. She had spiky black hair, dark eyeliner around her stormy blue eyes, and a spray of freckles across her nose. She looked familiar, but I wasn't sure why. Well, she asked, are you going to stop him or not? I couldn't answer. I couldn't move. The girl rolled her eyes. Fine, leave it to me and Aegis. She tapped her wrists, and her silver chains transformed, flattening and expanding into a huge shield. It was silver and bronze, with the monstrous face of Medusa protruding from the center. It looked like a death mask, as if the Gorgon's real head had been pressed into the metal. I didn't know if that was true, or if the shield could really petrify if the shield could really petrify me, but I looked away. Just being near it made me cold with fear. I got a feeling that in a real fight, the bearer of that shield would be almost impossible to beat. Any sane enemy would turn and run. The girl drew her sword and advanced on the sarcophagus. The shadowy ghosts parted for her, scattering before the terrible aura of her shield. No, I tried to warn her, but she didn't listen. She marched straight up to the sarcophagus, pushed aside the golden lid. For a moment, she stood there, gazing down at whatever was in the box. The coffin began to glow. No, the girl's voice trembled. It can't be. From the depths of the ocean, Kronos laughed so loudly, the whole ship trembled. No! The girl screamed as the sarcophagus engulfed her in a blast of golden light. I sat bolt upright in my hammock. Annabeth was shaking me. Percy, you were having a nightmare. You need to get up. What is it? I rubbed my eyes. What's wrong? Land, she said grimly. We're approaching the island of the Sirens. I could barely make out the island ahead of us. Just a dark spot in the mist. I want you to do me a favor, Annabeth said. The Sirens will be in range of their singing soon. I remembered stories about the Sirens. They sang so sweetly, their voices enchanted sailors and lured them to their death. No problem, I assured her. We can just stop up our ears. There's a big tube of candle wax down below. I want to hear them. I blinked. Why? They say the Sirens sing the truth about what you desire. They tell you things about yourself you didn't even realize. That's what's so enchanting. If you survive, you become wiser. I want to hear them. How often will I get that chance? Coming from most people, this would have made no sense. But Annabeth being who she was, well, she could struggle through ancient Greek architecture books and enjoy documentaries on the History Channel, I guessed the sirens would appeal to her too. She told me her plan, reluctantly. I helped her get ready. As soon as the rocky coastline of the island came into view, I ordered one of the ropes to wrap around Annabeth's waist, tying her to the foremast. "Don't untie me," she said. "No matter what happens, or how much I plead, I'll want to go straight over the edge and drown myself." "Are you trying to tempt me?" "Ha ha." I promised I'd keep her secure. Then I took two large wads of candle wax, kneaded them into earplugs, and stuffed my ears. Annabeth nodded sarcastically, letting me know the earplugs were a real fashion statement. I made a face at her and turned to the pilot's wheel. The silence was eerie. I couldn't hear anything but the rush of blood in my head. As we approached the island, jagged rocks loomed out of the fog. I willed Queen Anne's Revenge to skirt around them. If we sailed any closer, those rocks would shred our hull like blender blades. I glanced back. At first, Annabeth seemed totally normal. Then she got a puzzled look on her face. Her eyes widened. She straightened against the ropes. She called my name. I could tell just from reading her lips. Her expression was clear. She had to get out. This was life or death. I had to let her out of the ropes right now. She seemed so miserable. It was hard not to cut her free. I forced myself to look away. I urged the Queen Anne's Revenge to go faster. I still couldn't see much of the island, just mist and rocks, but floating in the water were pieces of wood and fiberglass, the wreckage of old ships, even some flotation cushions from airplanes. How could music cause so many lives to veer off course? I mean, sure, there were some top 40 songs that made me want to take a fiery nosedive, but still, what could the sirens possibly sing about? For one dangerous moment, I understood Annabeth's curiosity. I was tempted to take out the earplugs, just to get a taste of the song. I could feel the sirens' voices vibrating in the timbers of the ship, pulsing along with the roar of the blood in my ears. Annabeth was pleading with me. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She strained against the ropes as if they were holding her back from everything she cared about. "How could you be so cruel?" she seemed to be asking me. "I thought you were my friend." I glared at the misty island. I wanted to uncap my sword, but there was nothing to fight. How do you fight a song? I tried hard not to look at Annabeth. I managed it for about 5 minutes. That was my big mistake. When I couldn't stand it any longer, I looked back and found a heap of cut ropes. An empty mast. Annabeth's bronze knife lay on the deck. Somehow, she'd managed to wriggle it into her hand. I'd totally forgotten to disarm her. I rushed to the side of the boat and saw her paddling madly for the island, the waves carrying her straight toward the jagged rocks. I screamed her name, but if she heard me, it didn't do any good. She was entranced, swimming toward her death. I looked back at the pilot's wheel and yelled, "Stay!" Then I jumped over the side. I sliced into the water and willed the currents to bend around me, making a jet stream that shot me forward. I came to the surface and spotted Annabeth, but a wave caught her, sweeping her between two razor-sharp fangs of rock. I had no choice. I plunged after her. I dove under the wrecked hull of a yacht, wove through a collection of floating metal balls on chains that I realized afterwards were mines. I had to use all my willpower over the water to avoid getting smashed against the rocks or tangled in the nets of barbed wire strung just below the surface. I jetted between the two rock fangs and found myself in a half-moon-shaped bay. The water was choked with more rocks and shipwreckage and floating mines. The beach was black volcanic sand. I looked around desperately for Annabeth. There she was. Luckily or unluckily, she was a strong swimmer. She'd made it past the mines and the rocks. She was almost to the black beach. Then the mist cleared, and I saw them, the sirens. Imagine a flock of vultures the size of people, with dirty black plumage, gray talons, and wrinkled pink necks. Now imagine human heads on top of those necks. But the human heads kept changing. I couldn't hear them, but I could see they were singing. As their mouths moved, their faces morphed into people I knew. My mom, Poseidon, Grover, Tyson, Chiron. All the people I most wanted to see. They smiled, reassuringly, inviting me forward, but no matter what shape they took, their mouths were greasy and caked with the remnants of old meals. Like vultures, they'd been eating with their faces. And it didn't look like they'd been feasting on monster donuts. Annabeth swam towards them. I knew I couldn't let her get out of the water. The sea was my only advantage. It had always protected me one way or another. I propelled myself forward and grabbed her ankle. The moment I touched her, a shock went through my body, and I saw the sirens the way Annabeth must have been seeing them. 3 people sat on a picnic blanket in Central Park. A feast was spread out before them. I recognized Annabeth's dad from photos she'd shown me. An athletic-looking, sandy-haired guy in his 40s. He was holding hands with a beautiful woman who looked a lot like Annabeth. She was dressed casually, in blue jeans and a denim shirt and hiking boots, but something about the woman radiated power. I knew that I was looking at the goddess Athena. Next to them sat a young man, Luke. The whole scene glowed in a warm, buttery light. The 3 of them were talking and laughing, and when they saw Annabeth, their faces lit up with delight. Annabeth's mom and dad held out their arms invitingly. Luke grinned and gestured for Annabeth to sit next to him, as if he'd never betrayed her, as if he were still her friend. Behind the trees of Central Park, a city skyline rose. I caught my breath, because it was Manhattan. But not Manhattan. It had been totally rebuilt from dazzling white marble, bigger and grander than ever, with golden windows and rooftop gardens. It was better than New York. Better than Mount Olympus. I knew immediately that Annabeth had designed it all. She was the architect for a whole new world. She had reunited her parents. She had saved Luke. She had done everything she'd ever wanted. I blinked hard. When I opened my eyes, all I saw were the sirens. Ragged vultures with human faces, ready to feed on another victim. I pulled Annabeth back into the surf. I couldn't hear her, but I could tell she was screaming. She kicked me in the face, but I held on. I willed the currents to carry us out into the bay. Annabeth pummeled and kicked me, making it hard to concentrate. She thrashed so much, we almost collided with a floating mine. I didn't know what to do. I'd never get back to the ship alive if she kept fighting. We went under and Annabeth stopped struggling. Her expression became confused. Then our heads broke the surface again, and she started to fight once more. The water! Sound didn't travel well underwater. If I could submerge her long enough, I could break the spell of the music. Of course, Annabeth wouldn't be able to breathe, but at the moment, that seemed like a minor problem. I grabbed her around the waist and ordered the waves to push us down. We shot into the depths. 10 feet. 20 feet. I knew I had to be careful, because I could withstand a lot more pressure than Annabeth. She fought and struggled for breath as bubbles rose around us. Bubbles? I was desperate. I had to keep Annabeth alive. I imagined all the bubbles in the sea, always churning, rising, and imagined them coming together, being pulled toward me. The sea obeyed. There was a flurry of white, a tickling sensation all around me, and then my vision cleared. Annabeth and I had a huge bubble of air around us, only our legs stuck into the water. She gasped and coughed. Her whole body shuddered. But when she looked at me, I knew the spell was broken. She started to sob. I mean horrible, heartbroken sobbing. She put her head on my shoulder, and I held her. Fish gathered to look at us, a school of barracudas, some curious marlins. "Scram," I told them. They swam off, but I could tell they went reluctantly. I swear I understood their intentions. They were about to start rumors flying around the sea about the son of Poseidon and some girl at the bottom of Siren Bay. "I'll get us back to the ship," I told her. "It's okay. Just hang on." Annabeth nodded to let me know she was better now. Then she murmured something I couldn't hear because of the wax in my ears. I made the current steer our weird little air submarine through the rocks and barbed wire and back toward the hull of the Queen Anne's Revenge, which was maintaining a slow and steady course away from the island. We stayed underwater, following the ship, until I judged we had moved out of earshot of the sirens. Then I surfaced, and our air bubble popped. I ordered a rope ladder to drop over the side of the ship, and we climbed aboard. I kept my earplugs in, just to be sure. We sailed until the island was completely out of sight. Annabeth sat huddled in a blanket on the forward deck. Finally, she looked up, dazed and sad, and mouthed, "Safe." I took out the earplugs. No singing. The afternoon was quiet, except for the sounds of the waves against the hull. The fog had burned away to a blue sky, and as if the island of the sirens had never existed. Pardon me. "You okay?" I asked. The moment I said it, I realized how lame I sounded. Of course she wasn't okay. "I didn't realize," she murmured. "What?" Her eyes were the same color as the mist over the Sirens' Island. "How powerful the temptation would be." I didn't want to admit that I'd seen what the Sirens had promised her. I felt like a trespasser. But I figured I owed it to Annabeth. I saw the way you rebuilt Manhattan, I told her. And Luke. And your parents. She blushed. You saw that? What Luke told you back on the Princess Andromeda. About starting the world from scratch. That really got you, huh? She pulled her blanket around her. My fatal flaw. That's what the sirens showed me. My fatal flaw is hubris. I blinked. That brown stuff they spread on veggie sandwiches? She rolled her eyes. No, seaweed brain. That's hummus. Hubris is worse. What could be worse than hummus? Hubris means deadly pride, Percy. Thinking you can do things better than anyone else, even the gods. You feel that way? She looked down. Don't you ever feel like, what if the world really is messed up? What if we could do it all over again from scratch? No more war. Nobody homeless. No more summer reading homework. I'm listening. I mean, the West represents a lot of the best things mankind ever did. That's why the fire is still burning. That's why Olympus is still around. But sometimes you just see the bad stuff, you know? Then you start thinking the way Luke does. If I could tear this all down, I would do it better. Don't you ever feel that way? Like you could do a better job if you ran the world? No. Me running the world would kind of be a nightmare. Then you're lucky. Hubris isn't your fatal flaw. What is? I don't know, Percy, but every hero has one. If you don't find it and learn to control it, well, they don't call it fatal for nothing. I thought about that. It didn't exactly cheer me up. I also noticed Annabeth hadn't said much about personal things she would change, like getting her parents back together, or saving Luke. I understood. I didn't want to admit how many times I dreamed of getting my own parents back together. I pictured my mom, alone in our little apartment on the Upper East Side. I tried to remember the smell of her blueberry, I tried to remember the smell of her blue waffles in the kitchen. It seemed so far away. So, was it worth it? I asked Annabeth. Do you feel wiser? She gazed into the distance. I'm not sure. But we have to save the camp. If we don't stop Luke... She didn't need to finish. If Luke's way of thinking could ever tempt Annabeth, there was no telling how many other half-bloods might join him. I thought about my dream of the girl in the golden sarcophagus. I wasn't sure what it meant, but I got the feeling I was missing something terrible that Kronos was planning. What had the girl seen when she opened that coffin lid? Suddenly, Annabeth's eyes widened. Percy! I turned. Up ahead was another blotch of land. A saddle-shaped island with forested hills and white beaches and green meadows, just like I'd seen in my dream. My nautical senses confirmed it. 30 degrees, 31 minutes north, 75 degrees, 12 minutes west. We had reached the home of the Cyclops. Oops. Well, that was a good chapter. Dude, that siren scene. Oh my god. That scene with the sirens. I don't know. Like I feel like that story has been touched on before, right? But I don't know if I've like thought of it that way. At least not in a long time. You know? How the siren's song could show you a weakness, or it could wind up making you wiser if you survived it. Now, it would be nearly impossible to survive, but if you did, you'd be wiser for it. Would you guys have taken the risk? I'm curious. Would you guys have tried to tie yourself up and listen to the siren's song in an effort to become wiser? The siren's song. Hey, May. What's shaking? Welcome. We just finished up the first chapter of the night. Absolutely taking that risk. Nice, Keaton. I don't know, dude. I feel like I would be scared. If I had Percy around, heck, sure thing. No doubt about it. But if it was just me and like some other mortal chap or chapette, I don't know if I would do it. Hey, you can say Cramples. Let's go. So in this past chapter, not to spoil things. Well, I don't know. Do you care about spoilers in the book, or in the series of Percy Jackson? Yes, as in you do care about spoilers? Yes, okay. Cool. I'll try to make it vague then. If you had a chance to risk your, like, it would be a life-threatening event, but by the end of it, if you survived, you'd be wiser for it. Would you take that risk? Yeah! We can crample it up, dude. At long last. I've been waiting to crample all day long. I don't know about you guys. I'm almost finishing the first one, by the way. Heck yeah! Dude, sweetness. You'll probably have a chance to maybe catch up. Well, I don't know. You'd have to read like super duper fast. But you might have a chance to catch up over the weekend. From Thursday actually to Sunday. Because now we do the Percy Jackson series on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. But for Thursdays to Sunday, we have like special event stuff. Yeah, that would be hard. But regardless, heck, I'm glad you showed up and came to say hi. Honestly, like you've been a super consistent viewer, and that means the world to me. Not gonna lie. Yeah, dude, you need to speed read. You need your eyes to like move at the speed of Zeus's lightning. Absolutely, May. Certainly, it means a lot. Wink, wonk. Heck yeah, dude, that chapter was sick. Well, hey. You know, I try to be cool. As best I can, at least. And trust me, I enjoy it just as much as you guys. Just read one word per page. Let's actually give that a try for this last chapter. I'm actually curious now. Shoot. Okay, I'm gonna pick a random word from each page. Something tried. This just Riptide pushed sirens at mistake. Half people could understand. Moment really girl. I was trying to like glance and like catch ones that would actually flow together. But oh boy. Both of you are really cool actually. Goodness. Talk about hubris, man. My ego is swelling. Oh dude, and Skippy too. Heck yeah, dude. Anyone who likes the cat is cool in my book. Let me see if I can bring back Skippy. Don't think it would be too hard. Oh no. Skippy is in the space station. My bad. I forgot. I left him up goodness. Yeah, dude, that would be a long trip. We haven't sorted out like instant transmission yet. So you know, going back and forth is a real hassle. Skippy is too rad. Dude, I honestly, Coleman, I need more photos of Skippy. I might be even down to like feature Skippy in like each of my streams. You know? Dress him up in like a spacesuit or something, put a jar on his head. Yeah, yeah. Did I not mention that? I mean, well, I only realized it now, so I guess I am now mentioning it. But yes, he is stuck up there. Skippy the cat. I took him up to space with me, and I'm a little absent-minded, so you know, he's hanging. They have cat food up there. Don't worry. I do have cats, yeah. I can see if I can go try to find one during the break and bring him in here. If you want to be introduced to little Ronnie boy. They're not my cats though. They're my roommates. But I love them just as if they were my own. I wasn't at the last sci-fi stream. Whomst is Skippy? Skippy is a very special lad. I don't know. Coleman could probably explain best. We put a jar on his head during the sci-fi stream. One of my greatest achievements, I would say. Oh man. Is Skippy at least out of the jar? I don't know. I'd have to ask the folks up at the station. Because I didn't take the jar off, so and also like I'm kind of thinking that maybe the jar is a good thing. If he ever gets like sucked out into space, for I mean, heaven forbid, if he gets slurped up out into space, if he's got the jar on his head, he's good to go. Yeah, dude. Way too cute. Sadly, I'm allergic to cats, though. Not like deadly allergic, but allergic enough for like, I don't know, me to get the sniffles. Yeah, dude. Super rad. Why are you on a space station, by the way? Oh, well, I mean, on Sunday mornings, I'm required to go up to space. It's a part of the job here, you know. For some reason, like they, well, actually, you know, sorry, I'm just not wanting to tell you the real reason. They, my roommates, they won't let me stay here on Sundays. So I found the only other like cheap renting place I could think of, which was in space. So yeah, I mean like the cost of living up there isn't all that bad now because it's kind of some crummy living, you know. Like you've heard before in the streams if you've been there, like announcements go on like throughout the ship. It interrupts the streams like all the time. Like I'll be in mid sentence and you know the lady will come on and be like, you need to be aware of dangerous things in the space station. Thank you. Like pointless stuff like that. So I stay up there like every Sunday. I will say it's pretty cool, no doubt. Yeah, space is a pretty cool place, and it kind of works out, you know. It's Sci-Fi Sunday after all, so the environment kind of fits the bill. Space, 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 space. I wish I could do like the. Sorry, you guys might have might have heard that. All right, guys. It's already 9:10, so we're gonna need to jump to a break here, and when we return, we will jump into chapter 14. Maybe once you should do a room tour on the spaceship. I don't know. There's like regulations and junk. I haven't even like read all the. The list of like things that they had me sign. I'll tell you what, I'll talk to like the pilot if I can, or the captain. Pilot's probably more like accessible, but both of those guys are really busy. I'll see if I can get it approved, but like normally like I'll if I put that in, I doubt I'll get a response for like weeks, maybe months. I'd really like to, though. I'd really like to. Privacy policies and the like. All right, dudes. Yeah, let's jump to a break. I'll play some jams, some of my jams, for you during the break. As always, I urge everybody to stand up during the break, like shake your whims and tribulations out your body, stretch a little bit. It's important if you're sitting down like in at your computer to get up like every hour or so. Since the stream has been going on for an hour, I certainly am going to stand up and do some stretching. I would hope you would do the same, my wildflowers. I mean, I'll try not to die. I'm also going to see if I can locate Ronnie Boy, so I can introduce him. And heck yeah, go ahead and get yourself some water and refreshment, and don't go nowhere. We'll be back for chapter 14 in about 5 to 7 minutes. All right, much love, guys. I'll see you super duper soon. Wink.
What you playing? I had an idea. Well, a song idea, but also an idea.
Let's hear it.
Yes, please.
I don't need you. I don't need you.
Room for 3 more?
I don't need you. But I want you to love me. I don't need you. But I want you to know me. Change your mind.
What if something bad happens?
Well, what if something good happens?
I need you. Need you.
you just come back?
I want to, but I just...
I need you. Need you. I need you.
Always.
I need you.
Always.
Need you. I need you.
Always. Let's hear it.
I might have overreacted.
Need you. Need you. I need you. Need you. I but I want you to
Love me.
but I want you to
Know me. Let's hear it.
I don't
Love me.
I don't
Know me.
but I want you to
Love me. Change your mind.
Oh, Stephen, there's one more thing I had to mention.
What is it?
I love you. Bye.
See you later.
What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. What do I give? How do I live in this life of ours? All I know is that I take plenty from here under the stars. I won't revive, I won't relive. I accept what I've done and I forgive. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze, which will block my gaze. Illusory ways make feelings that don't stay. In and out they face. Is it always that? My tangible wishes are just out of reach. Nebulous days lead me to ravenous haze, which will block my gaze. Illusory ways make feelings that don't stay. In and out they fade. Is it always that? My intangible wishes are just out of reach.
やれやれ。退屈だと言って何も行動せず、刺激を求める割には挑戦しない。
Feelings don't stay. Feelings don't stay. Feelings don't stay.
いいかい、埼玉市。人生は当てのない旅だよ。新しい景色を見るためには自分で道を切り開くしかないんだ。
Is it always that my tangible wishes are just out of reach? Is it always that? Is it always that?
Oh yeah. What's shimmying and shammying? Snoopy, quit jamming. Stop jamming. The jams are done. Cease this jamming at once. Look who's back. Back again. Hey, what's up? It's good to have you here, Caroline. Your presence is freaking appreciated. Procrastinating or not, or otherwise. I'm glad you're here. But definitely, I don't know, what are you procrastinating? Homework? Film project of some kind? Something like that? I don't know. I'm taking shots in the dark here. I have a 5-page paper due at midnight, and I haven't started. Lamau! Lamau? Lamau, indeed. Well, hey, I believe in you. Start by at least 10, okay? Give yourself a solid 2 hours. Once you get started, I don't know, making like that first step to start is the hardest thing to do. Once you're in it, like commit just to like writing the first sentence. If you can commit to that much, the rest will most likely come afterwards. It's like when I try to convince myself to work out, I tell myself, all right, Mitch, just do 1 push-up. 1 push-up, don't gotta do any more after that. You're solid, you're good. You can just stop at 1 push-up, but go do the 1 push-up. And so I do the 1 push-up, and then afterwards, I think to myself, oh wait, well hey, I'm already here. I can probably do the other thing. I can do the other things too. You're really sick? Oh gosh. Yeah, no, that'll throw a wrench into the plan I just laid out for you. You have an outline though. That's good. I'd feel confident with that. Normally, like at least my memories of writing papers, I haven't done that in ages. But when I wrote papers, if I had the outline, the paper came pretty quick. But heck yeah, good on you for finishing the outline early. And I hope that you feel less sick right now. And now, stop feeling sick. Do it. Did it work? Did my magic spell do the trick? At the very least, did it make you smile? Because if it did, I'm counting that as a win. Disclaimer, it's not a good outline. Don't encourage me. Oh, come on. You can do it. I'll encourage you whether you want it or not. You can do it. Have faith in the me that believes in you. Throwing at you a little Gurren Lagann quote there. Not exact quote. I think it's believe in the me that believes in you. But heck yeah. Well, you're here just in time for the second chapter. To recap the last one, they were making their daring escape from the island that was controlled by Circe, a sorceress who turned Percy into a guinea pig. But they escaped. They made their way through the Sea of Monsters, came across what's known as the Island of the Sirens. You know, it's a well-known myth. Percy knew it well, and knew that, hey, there's some earwax below. Let's go ahead and plug up our ears. It's probably a safe bet. But Annabeth, she wanted to listen to the siren song. Percy hearing that from anybody else would have thought they were crazy, but Annabeth, she had a good reason behind it. She thought that, the sirens sing out to you like your truest desires. Like they sing out to you things that you might even not know about yourself. So if she were to listen to the song and survive, she would be wiser for it. And so Percy said, all right, I'll do my absolute darndest to keep you from throwing yourself off the boat. Tied her up and everything. Oh gosh, dude, I'm sorry. It's only one chapter though. I'm sorry. I do apologize. I should have thrown out spoiler warning, but I wanted to recap a little bit. Also, by the time you get to this chapter, you'll probably forget all about what I just said. At least if I were you, that's what would have happened to me. But yeah, sorry, dude. If you don't want to hear the spoilers, and I'm about to get reading too, so if you don't want to hear it, definitely mute the dealio. But yeah, so now after something happened with the Siren Island, thank you so much, dude. You have an awesome night too. I pray it is filled with joy and merriment. And remember to spread that merriment to others. Good night, May. Alright. Well, without further ado, let's jump into our next chapter. I muted you for a second. So I wouldn't hear it, lol. Good stuff. Alright. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and do this thing. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Coleman. Okay. This is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. 14. We meet the Sheep of Doom. When you think Monster Island, you think craggy rocks and bones scattered on the beach like the island of the Sirens. The Cyclops' island was nothing like that. I mean, okay, it had a rope bridge across a chasm, which was not a good sign. You might as well put up a billboard that said, "Something evil lives here." But except for that, the place looked like a Caribbean postcard. It had green fields and tropical fruit trees and white beaches. As we sailed toward the shore, Annabeth breathed in the sweet air. "The fleece," she said. I nodded. I couldn't see the fleece yet, but I could feel its power. I could believe it would heal anything, even Thalia's poison tree. "If we take it away, will the island die?" Annabeth shook her head. "It'll fade. Go back to what it would be normally. Whatever that is." I felt a little guilty about ruining this paradise, but I reminded myself we had no choice. Camp Half-Blood was in trouble, and Tyson would still be with us if it wasn't for this quest. In the meadow at the base of the ravine, several dozen sheep were milling about. They looked peaceful enough, but they were huge, the size of hippos. Just past them was a path that led up into the hills. At the top of the path, near the edge of the canyon, was the massive oak tree I'd seen in my dreams. Something gold glittered in its branches. "This is too easy," I said. "We could just hike up there and take it?" Annabeth's eyes narrowed. "There's supposed to be a guardian. A dragon, or..." That's when a deer emerged from the bushes. It trotted into the meadow, probably looking for grass to eat, when the sheep all bleated at once and rushed the animal. It happened so fast that the deer stumbled and was lost in a sea of wool and trampling hooves. Grass and tufts of fur flew into the air. A second later, the sheep all moved away, back to their regular peaceful wanderings. Where the deer had been was a pile of clean white bones. Annabeth and I exchanged looks. "They're like piranhas," she said. "Piranhas with wool. How will we—" "Percy!" Annabeth gasped, grabbing my arm. "Look!" She pointed down the beach to just below the sheep meadow, where a small boat had been run aground. The other lifeboat from the CSS Birmingham. We decided there was no way we could get past the man-eating sheep. Annabeth wanted to sneak up the path invisibly and grab the fleece, but in the end, I convinced her that something would go wrong. The sheep would smell her, another guardian would appear, something, and if that happened, I'd be too far away to help. Besides, our first job was to find Grover and whoever had come ashore in that lifeboat, assuming they'd gotten past the sheep. I was too nervous to say what I was secretly hoping, that Tyson might still be alive. Thanks for the host, Lube. Much obliged, dude. We moored the Queen Anne's Revenge on the backside of the island, where the cliffs rose straight up, a good 200 feet. I figured the ship was less likely to be seen there. The cliffs looked climbable, barely, about as difficult as the lava wall back at camp. At least it was free of sheep. I hoped that Polyphemus did not also keep carnivorous mountain goats. We rowed a lifeboat to the edge of the rocks and made our way up very slowly. Annabeth went first because she was the better climber. We only came close to dying 6 or 7 times, which I thought was pretty good. Once I lost my grip, and I found myself dangling by one hand from a ledge 50 feet above a rocky surf. But I found another handhold and kept climbing. A minute later, Annabeth hit a slippery patch of moss, and her foot slipped. Fortunately, she found something else to put it against. Unfortunately, that something was my face. "Sorry," she murmured. "It's okay," I grunted, though I had never really wanted to know what Annabeth's sneaker tasted like. Finally, when my fingers felt like molten lead and my arm muscles were shaking from exhaustion, we hauled ourselves over the top of the cliff and collapsed. "Ugh," I said. "Ouch," moaned Annabeth. Bellowed another voice. If I hadn't been so tired, I would have leapt another 200 feet. I whirled around, but I couldn't see who'd spoken. Annabeth clamped her hand over my mouth. She pointed. The ledge we were sitting on was narrower than I had realized. It dropped off on the opposite side, and that's where the voice was coming from, right below us.
"You're a feisty one,"
the deep voice bellowed. "Challenge me!" Clarice's voice, no doubt about it. "Give me back my sword, and I'll fight you!" The monster roared with laughter. Annabeth and I crept to the edge. We were right above the entrance of the Cyclops' cave. Below us stood Polyphemus and Grover, still in his wedding dress. Clarice was tied up, hanging upside down over a pot of boiling water. I was half hoping to see Tyson down there too. even if he'd been in danger. At least, I would have known he was alive. But there was no sign of him. Polyphemus I pondered.
Eat loudmouth girl. Now? Or wait for wedding feast? What does my bride think?
He turned to Grover, who backed up and almost tripped over his completed bridal train. Oh, I'm not hungry right now, dear. Perhaps... Did you say bride? Clarice demanded. Who? Grover? Next to me, Annabeth muttered, Shut up. She has to shut up. Polyphemus glowered.
What Grover?
The satyr! Clarice yelled. Oh, Grover yelped. The poor thing's brain is boiling from that hot water. Pull her down, dear. Polyphemus's eyelids narrowed over his baleful milky eye, as if he were trying to see Clarice more clearly. The Cyclops was an even more horrible sight than he had been in my dreams, partly because his rancid smile was now up close and personal, partly because he was dressed in his wedding outfit, a crude kilt and shoulder wrap stitched together from baby blue tuxedos, as if he'd skinned an entire wedding party.
What satyr?
Asked Polyphemus.
Satyrs are good eatin'. You bring me a satyr?
No, you big idiot, bellowed Clarice. That satyr! Grover! The one in the wedding dress! I wanted to wring Clarice's neck, but it was too late. All I could do was watch as Polyphemus turned and ripped off Grover's wedding veil, revealing his curly hair, his scruffy adolescent beard, and his tiny horns. Polyphemus breathed heavily, trying to contain his anger.
I don't see very well,
he growled.
Not since many years ago, when the other hero stabbed me in the eye. But you're no Lady Cyclops.
The Cyclops grabbed Grover's dress and tore it away. Underneath, the old Grover reappeared in his jeans and t-shirt. He yelped and ducked as the monster swiped over his head. Stop, Grover pleaded. Don't eat me raw. I have a good recipe. I reached for my sword, but Annabeth hissed. Wait! Polyphemus was hesitating, a boulder in his hand, ready to smash his would-be bride.
Recipe?
He asked Grover. Oh yes. You don't want to eat me raw. You'll get E. coli and botulism and all sorts of horrible things. I'll taste much better grilled over a slow fire with mango chutney. You could go get some mangoes right now, down there in the woods. I'll just wait here. The monster pondered this. My heart hammered against my ribs. I figured I'd die if I charged, but I couldn't let the monster kill Grover.
Grilled satyr with mango chutney.
Polyphemus mused. He looked back at Clarice, still hanging over the pot of boiling water.
You a satyr too?
No, you overgrown pile of dung, she yelled. I'm a girl, the daughter of Ares. Now untie me so I can rip your arms off.
Rip my arms off,
Polyphemus repeated. And stuff them down your throat.
You got spunk.
Let me down! Polyphemus snatched up Grover as if he were a wayward puppy.
Have to graze sheep now. Wedding postponed until tonight. Then we will eat satyr for the main course.
But, you're still getting married? Grover sounded hurt. Who's the bride? Polyphemus looked toward the boiling pot. Clarice made a strangled sound. Oh no! You can't be serious. I'm not! Before Annabeth or I could do anything, Polyphemus plucked her off the rope like she was a ripe apple and tossed her and Grover deep into the cave.
Make yourself comfortable. I come back at sundown for a big event.
Then the Cyclops whistled, and a mixed flock of goats and sheep, smaller than the man-eaters, flooded out past the cave and past their master. As they went to pasture, Polyphemus patted some on the back and called them by name. Beltbuster, Tammany, Lockhart, etc. When the last sheep had waddled out, Polyphemus rolled a boulder in front of the doorway, as easily as I would close a refrigerator door, shutting off the sound of Clarice and Grover screaming inside.
Mangoes.
Polyphemus grumbled to himself.
What are mangoes?
He strolled off down the mountain in his baby blue groom's outfit, leaving us alone with a pot of boiling water and a 6-ton boulder. We tried for what seemed like hours, but it was no good. The boulder wouldn't move. We yelled into the cracks, tapped on the rock, did everything we could think of to get a signal to Grover, but if he'd heard us, we couldn't tell. Even if by some miracle we managed to kill Polyphemus, it wouldn't do us any good. Grover and Clarice would die inside that sealed cave. The only way to move that rock was to have the Cyclops do it. In total frustration, I stabbed Riptide against the boulder. Sparks flew, but nothing else happened. A large rock is not the kind of enemy you can fight with a magic sword. Annabeth and I sat on the ridge in despair and watched the distant baby blue shape of the Cyclops as he moved among his flocks. He had wisely divided his regular animals from the man-eating sheep, putting each group on either side of the huge crevice that divided the island. The only way across was the rope bridge, and the planks were much too far apart for the sheep hooves. We watched as Polyphemus visited his carnivorous flock on the far side. Unfortunately, they didn't eat him. In fact, they didn't seem to bother him at all. He fed them chunks of mystery meat from a great wicker basket, which only reinforced the feeling I'd been having since Circe turned me into a guinea pig, that maybe it was time I joined Grover and became a vegetarian. Trickery, Annabeth decided. We can't beat him by force, so we'll have to use trickery. Okay, I said. What trick? I haven't figured that part out yet. Great. Polyphemus will have to move the rock to let the sheep inside. At sunset, I said. Which is when he'll marry Clarice and have Grover for dinner. I'm not sure which is grosser. I could get inside, she said, invisibly. What about me? The sheep, Annabeth mused. She gave me one of those sly looks that always made me wary. How much do you like sheep? Just don't let go, Annabeth said, standing invisibly somewhere off to my right. That was easy for her to say. She wasn't hanging upside down from the belly of a sheep. Now, I'll admit, it wasn't as hard as I'd thought. I'd crawled under a car before to change my mom's oil, and this wasn't too difficult. The sheep didn't care. Even the Cyclops' smallest sheep were big enough to support my weight, and they had thick wool. I just twirled the stuff into handles for my hands, hooked my feet against the sheep's thigh bones, and presto! I felt like a baby wallaby riding around against the sheep's chest, trying to keep the wool out of my mouth and my nose. In case you were wondering, the underside of a sheep doesn't smell that great. Imagine a winter sweater that's been dragged through the mud and left in the laundry hamper for a week. Something like that. The sun was going down. No sooner was I in position than the Cyclops roared.
Oi! Goaties! Sheepies!
The flock dutifully began trudging back up the slopes toward the cave.
This is it, Annabeth whispered. I'll be close by. Don't worry.
I made a silent promise to the gods that if we survived this, I'd tell Annabeth she was a genius. The frightening thing was, I knew the gods would hold me to it. My sheep taxi started plodding up the hill. After 100 yards, my hands and feet started to hurt from holding on. I gripped the sheep's wool more tightly, and the animal made a grumbling sound. I didn't blame it. I wouldn't want anybody rock climbing in my hair either. But if I didn't hold on, I was sure I'd fall right off, or right there. I was sure I'd fall off right there in front of the monster.
Hassenpfeffer.
Hang on.
Hassenpfeffer.
The Cyclops said, patting one of the sheep in front of me.
Einstein? Widget. There, Widget.
Polyphemus patted my sheep and nearly knocked me to the ground.
Putting on some extra mutton there.
Uh-oh, I thought. Here it comes. But Polyphemus just laughed and swatted the sheep's rear end, propelling us forward.
Go on, fatty. Soon Polyphemus will eat you for breakfast.
And just like that, I was in the cave. I could see the last of the sheep coming inside. If Annabeth didn't pull off her distraction soon, the Cyclops was about to roll the stone back into place, when from somewhere outside, Annabeth shouted, "Hello, ugly!" Polyphemus stiffened.
Who was that?
Nobody,
Annabeth yelled. That got exactly the reaction she'd been hoping for. The monster's face turned red with rage.
Nobody!
Polyphemus yelled back.
I remember you.
You're too stupid to remember anybody,
Annabeth taunted.
much less nobody.
I hoped to the gods she was already moving when she said that, because Polyphemus bellowed furiously, grabbing the nearest boulder, which happened to be his front door, and threw it toward the sound of Annabeth's voice. I heard the rock smash into 1,000 fragments. For a terrible moment, there was silence. Then Annabeth shouted,
You haven't learned to throw any better either.
Polyphemus howled.
Come here. Let me kill you, nobody.
You can't kill nobody, you stupid oaf,
she taunted.
Come find me.
Polyphemus barreled down the hill toward her voice. Now, the nobody thing wouldn't have made sense to anybody but Annabeth. Wouldn't have made sense to anybody, but Annabeth had explained to me that it was the name Odysseus had used to trick Polyphemus centuries ago, right before he poked the Cyclops' eye out with a large hot stick. Annabeth had figured Polyphemus would still have a grudge about the name, and she was right. In his frenzy to find his old enemy, he forgot about resealing the cave entrance. Apparently, he didn't even stop to consider that Annabeth's voice was female, whereas the first nobody had been male. On the other hand, he'd wanted to marry Grover, so he couldn't have been all that bright about the whole male-female thing.
I just hoped Annabeth could stay alive and keep distracting him long enough for me to find Grover and Clarice. I dropped off my ride, patted Widget on the head, and apologized. I searched the main room, but there was no sign of Grover or Clarice. I pushed through the crowd of sheep and goats toward the back of the cave. Even though I dreamed about this place, I had a hard time finding my way through the maze. I ran down corridors littered with bones, past rooms full of sheepskin rugs and life-size cement sheep that I recognized as the work of Medusa. There were collections of sheep t-shirts, large tubs of lanolin cream, and woolly coats, socks, and hats with ram's horns. Finally, I found the spinning room, where Grover was huddled in the corner, trying to cut Clarice's bonds with a spare pair of safety scissors. "It's no good," Clarice said. "The rope is like iron." Just a few more minutes." "Grover!" she cried, exasperated. "You've been working at it for hours." And then they saw me. "Percy?" Clarice said. "You're supposed to be blown up." "Good to see you too. Now hold still while I..." "Percy!" Grover bleated and tackled me with a goat hug. "You heard me! You came!" "Yeah, buddy," I said. "Of course I came." "Where's Annabeth?" "Outside," I said, "but there's no time to talk. Clarice, hold still." I uncapped Riptide and sliced off her ropes. She stood stiffly, rubbing her wrists. She glared at me for a moment, then looked at the ground and mumbled, "Thanks." "You're welcome," I said. "Now, was anybody else aboard your lifeboat?" Clarice looked surprised. "No, just me. Everybody else aboard the Birmingham, well, I didn't even know you guys made it out." I looked down, trying not to believe that my last hope of seeing Tyson alive had just been crushed. "Okay, come on then. We have to help." An explosion echoed through the cave, followed by a scream that told me we might be too late. It was Annabeth crying out in fear. "Ah! Ah!" That's the scream. It's the best I can do for now. Shoot, man. They all up in Polyphemus's lair. Let's go. Some exciting stuff, no? Also, dude, that reaction from Grover, too cute. Too cute. Monkeys. Yeah, dude, they were kind of like monkeys, climbing up that cliff. I've written one sentence of my paper. It's like having a podcast on while you do your work. Thank you. You're very welcome. Honestly, like, that's one of the purposes of this stream that I was hoping it could be, you know? Thank you. Perfect scream. Yo, what's up, Omni-Whale Lord? Welcome. I'm glad to see you. I thought you might be around for, you know, the Say Your Prayers Saturday and the Sci-Fi Sunday, but I didn't catch you there. But heck, man, it is a pleasure to see you. An absolute joy. Hey, don't worry about it, dude. You come when you can. And I will appreciate your presence. Did I get around to reading Baraska? No, not yet. I was immensely busy over the weekend, working desperately to finish the theme song for Sci-Fi Sunday, which I did finish, and it is a
banger, if I do say so myself. I worked really hard on it and put in way more hours than I thought it would take to make it. But it turned out so good. But I'm hoping next week I ought to have a little more free time, since I have off from work and one of the other things that I go to like every 3 days out of the week. So I'm thinking I'll be able to get to it this weekend, or next week, sorry. Or I may I don't know, I may try to do it for it's not a one sitting thing, so I don't know if it would work for Say Your Prayers Saturday. Say Your Merry Prayers Saturday. Sorry, I forgot. We adapted the title so that it would be Simp Saturday. What music software do I use? I've been using Logic Pro X for ages now. And it is my preferred software. What's wrong with Simp Saturday? It's not SIMP Saturday. It's not that simp. It's Say Your Merry Prayers Saturday. So it's SYMP. You see, there is a difference. How long does the horror stream go for? I let it run for, it normally goes from like anywhere from 3 to 4 hours long. But it also depends on how late I start it. I like to start it around 9 so that I can do like solid 4-hour stream. But like for instance, last time I wound up starting at midnight again because I was working on the Sci-Fi Sunday theme song. So it went a little bit shorter last time around. It's possible within 4 hours? Heck yeah. Dude, I'd be down for that. Yeah, I'll like wait for a little while to like get people who get a gaggle of folks who want to hear it, and we'll read it through. That'd be tight. I will definitely throw out a warning though. I know you said it had to do with or it had some serious like scenes of abuse and stuff. Not entirely sure if that's what you had said, but I think that was the warning that I heard from you. If you wanted to do Baraska, it's definitely possible within 4 hours. Sweet. That may be good too, because I found out I had wanted to include in Simp Saturday, Say Your Merry Prayers Saturday. I wanted to include some like readings of Junji Ito comics, and just in general like dark comics that I look into and find, to break up the normal reading. And I know, like, wouldn't that be super sick? And it worked out really nicely last time. We read through The Enigma of Amigara Fault and this really, really cool online comic, the really dark online comic called Out of Skin. That was really good too. Yeah, dude. Junji Ito is the bomb. But I'm not sure if it's something that I can, like, if I'm allowed to do that. You know, if I show it on the screen, then I think it technically counts as me redistributing it. But I don't know. Like, could I just do it for the Twitch stream and then edit it out for the YouTube? I don't know. Do you remember those Korean horror webcomics? I do not. Oh, Uzumaki. That name rings a bell. Maybe Uzumaki Tensei? No. Is that right? Uzumaki Tensei? Let me look. Uzumaki. Oh, yes. I absolutely know this one. Oh, that's by Junji Ito. I actually drew, hang on, let me jump over to here for a second. I actually drew, I drew that photo, like in the corner there. I have a drawing of that one. It's so flippin' spooky, dude. Second favorite Junji Ito story. Oh yeah. Like the Korean horror webcom coming where they jump out at you. Oh. I don't remember. I don't recall those. I honestly like I like have phases with horror. I think nowadays I'm much more like into, I don't know, into looking into horror now that I have like the stream to introduce me to new stuff. But on my own, I'm not normally like one to seek it out myself, you know, if that makes sense. Um what was the name of the one with the girl whose neck like snaps around? I don't know. I don't know about that one. The creator of that did more. And the other ones are so good. If you find it, dude, send me that link. Because I would still like to break up the Say Your Merry Prayers Saturdays with some really cool webcomics. But I don't know if it is okay with Twitch. I feel like could certainly, like, if it is not okay, it would certainly slip by with how, how small my stream is at the moment. But I don't know. I worry about getting like the Twitch people breaking down my door. No, I'm just kidding. That would be wild. The Bong Cheong Dong Ghost. What? Wait, no, is that really what it's called? The current state of the world has deterred me from seeking out a lot of horror. Honest to goodness, Keaton, you make a solid point. That's why I keep it to 1 day a week, and I'm not a fully horror-centered channel. Because I'm a big believer in the eyes are the window to your soul. The eyes are the window to my eyes are the window to my soul, so whatever I take in is going to affect me in one way or another. And if I like solely like seek out only horror and whatnot and fill my brain with it, I don't think it'll do good things. You gotta balance it out with some Percy Jackson or some Boy and His Goblin, I think webcomics would definitely be fine, but I don't know about official published manga and such. Yeah, I really want to read Junji Ito though. We'll start with the webcomics though. And maybe I can like I'll be sure to like post in the Discord a link to the actual site, like where it comes from, so that if you want to support the actual, the author and the artist, you can. Like I would think of it that I'm exposing myself and others to the comic itself, right? Instead of like redistributing it. But I don't know. Yeah. In my copywriting class, we talked about online voiceover work, and 9 times out of 10, it was marked as fair use. Sick. Okay. Then I'm down to try, I'm down to give it a shot, and normally they give you like a warning first, right? Like if there really is an issue, I'm assuming Twitch will send me an email or call me and say, hey, this is not okay, or hey, we would appreciate it if you stopped or something. At least that's my thought on it. I hope that's not a bad that's not like a bad outlook. Just read all of the Homestuck and describe in over detail every single panel. Read every single Jeff the Killer fanfic. Yeah, that's what we need, dude. We need to break it up with some fanfic. I'm thinking about maybe on Fantasy Fridays we break up those tales with some fan fiction. That way we do Me too. Honestly, I've been missing it. I did that as a special event for my birthday, but I've been genuinely wanting to get it back into this series. Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman. Oh, baby. Oh yeah. Yeah, man, that was a fun one. I did say, fair warning, I did say like a very offensive word that I will not repeat, but it's because I'm used to, you know, reading exactly what's in the words in front of me. And I didn't think to like, I don't exactly look ahead. I read like each word as it comes. You have to read all of Sonic High School. Honestly, I do. What's that line again? I only remember the said Sonic part. How does it start, Coleman? If you get to $100 donation, you have to read all of Sonic High School. That'd be a solid, yeah. That'd be a really solid goal. Nice, yeah. Dang, you, Omni Whalelord, you're a smart chap. You got big brain, dude. Jenny Nicholas on YouTube reads a lot of great fanfic. It's amazing. Nice. Yeah, I think I'd like that. That way we can do like Fantasy Fridays will be a mixture of fanfic and fantasy. In a way, some of the fanfic is my fantasy. Yeah, that's it. Nothing, said Sonic. Said Sonic. Freak, dude, it still gets me. There's one line in Sonic High School that kills me. It's that one, isn't it? Nothing, said Sonic. Said Sonic. Dude, when I first like came across that thing, I nearly busted a gut. Oh, heck yeah. Go for it. Also, I'll look into what is the name of that comic series again? The dark comic with the lady's neck snap-a-lappin'. God, I really need to do this paper. I know, shoot. I'll let me jump into like the next chapter here. Yeah, because I wanted to be more podcast like so that Caroline can do her work. Sorry, I know like these sections can be distracting. Oh shoot, I need to allow links from Nightbot. This website is in Korean. Please translate it to Google. To English, please. There we go. It's called 2011 Mystery Short? Or no, Bong Chong Dong Ghost Horong. That is what it's called. Holy goodness. Dude, I would have never guessed. I really thought you were just pulling my leg. I like that. Warning, this webtoon is a special horror episode for this summer season. Since it contains shocking scenes, reader discretion is advised for pregnant women, the elderly, and those suffering from serious medical conditions. Sick, dude. Yeah. Oh, heck yeah, thank you, Caroline. Save that to the horror folder. Got my comics for yeah, heck yeah, for this Saturday. Rogue screamed sex noises, and Espio messed around with her boobs and face like she was the X-Men arcade game. Oh no. No. I like how specific it is with the game. The X-Men arcade game. Rogue screamed sex noises. Yeah. Caroline, I require you to include that line in your paper. This is my challenge to you. Is that not how you're supposed to do it? No, dude, I take all of my my sexual advice from Sonic High School. No question. I will not hear it from anywhere else. It's about discrimination in 1820s Brazil, but all right. You can do it. I believe in you. It's about, dang, that's a serious topic. Is it hard to write about, or is it interesting enough to where it's kind of cool? It's kind of like a neat thing. There's another line about doing anal and describing it like making a golf course and digging out the back nine. Dude, that's so good. And I noticed like the guy, whoever wrote it, I forget the name, but he did the first 2 editions and then was silent for like ages, as far as I can tell, and then came back like 6 or 7 years later with the new like Sonic High School, and it was exactly the same, dude, if not better. Dude, it's too good for this world. It is. Yeah, I feel like maybe like the new one at least is a troll, because he came back, yeah, like 6 years later, and he probably caught on, and yeah, that I would believe that, but who knows? I definitely don't. Okay, well, guys, I think I do love chatting it up, but it is about time we jumped into this next chapter, because I do want to do. Oh, and this one's super short. Rogue's vajayjay looked like a surprised ghost. Oh my god! Oh my god! Dude, what even does that mean? And why is it the sex advice that I am taking to heart? This is what I assume. If I ever have the intercourse with a girl again, I'm expecting it to look like a ghost. A scared one at that. Alright, hang on. Let me take like a sip of agua before we get started. Anything for you, Omni. I'll plan to fit it in with Friday's stream. Do you ever have just like a really unsatisfying sip of water? Like where it leaves like just like the smallest, like funniest feeling in your throat? Do you guys ever get that? Where like it didn't exactly go down the wrong pipe, but it didn't go right either? Is that just me? I just had one of those sips of water, and it's leading me to be nervous because I because I feel it's gonna affect my reading. Reading. Him. All right, guys. Let's jump into it. This chapter's real short, so hope you stick around. This is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. 15. Nobody gets the fleece.
I got nobody.
Polyphemus gloated. We crept to the cave entrance and saw the Cyclops grinning wickedly, holding up empty air. The monster shook his fist, and a baseball cap fluttered
to the ground. There was Annabeth, hanging upside down by her legs.
Ha!
The Cyclops said.
Nasty invisible girl. Already got feisty one for wife. Means you gotta be grilled with mango chutney.
Annabeth struggled, but she looked dazed. She had a nasty cut on her forehead. Her eyes were glassy. I'll rush him, I whispered to Clarice. Our ship is around the back of the island. You and Grover. No way, they said at the same time. Clarice had armed herself with a highly collectible ram's horn spear from the Cyclops' cave. Grover had found a sheep's thigh bone, which he didn't look too happy about, but he was gripping it like a club, ready to attack. We'll take him together, Clarice growled. Yeah, Grover said. Then he blinked, like he couldn't believe he'd just agreed with Clarice about something. All right, I said. Attack plan, Macedonia. They nodded. We'd all taken the same training course at Camp Half-Blood. They knew what I was talking about. They would sneak around either side and attack the Cyclops from the flanks, while I held his attention in the front. Probably what this meant was that we'd all die instead of just me, but I was grateful for the help. I hefted my sword and shouted, Hey, ugly! The giant whirled towards me.
Another one? Who are you?
Put down my friend. I'm the one who insulted you.
You are nobody?
That's right. You smelly bucket of nose drool. It didn't sound quite as good as Annabeth's insult, but it was all I could think of. I'm nobody, and I'm proud of it. Now put her down and get over here. I want to stab your eye out again. He bellowed. The good news, he dropped Annabeth. The bad news, he dropped her head first onto the rocks, where she lay motionless as a rag doll. The other bad news, Polyphemus barreled toward me, 1,000 smelly pounds of Cyclops that I would have to fight with a very small sword. For Pan! Grover rushed in from the right. He threw a sheep bone, which bounced harmlessly off the monster's forehead. Clarice ran in from the left and set her spear against the ground just in time for the Cyclops to step on it. He wailed in pain. And Clarice dove out of the way to avoid getting trampled. But the Cyclops just plucked out the shaft like a large splinter and kept advancing on me. I moved in with Riptide. The monster made a grab for me. I rolled aside and stabbed him in the thigh. I was hoping to see him disintegrate, but this monster was much too big and powerful. Get Annabeth! I yelled at Grover. He rushed over, grabbed her invisibility cap, and picked her up while Clarice and I tried to keep Polyphemus distracted. I have to admit, Clarice was brave. She charged the Cyclops again and again. He pounded the ground, stomped at her, grabbed at her, but she was too quick. And as soon as she made an attack, I followed up by stabbing the monster in the toe, or the ankle, or the hand. But we couldn't keep this up forever. Eventually we would tire, or the monster would get in a lucky shot. It would only take one hit to kill us. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Grover carrying Annabeth across the rope bridge. It wouldn't have been my first choice, given the man-eating sheep on the other side, but at the moment, that looked better than this side of the chasm, and it gave me an idea. Fall back, I told Clarice. She rolled away as the Cyclops' fist smashed the olive tree beside her. We ran for the bridge. Polyphemus, right behind us. He was cut up and hobbling from so many wounds, but all we'd done was slow him down and make him mad.
Grind you into sheep chow,
he promised.
1,000 curses on nobody.
Faster, I told Clarice. We tore down the hill. The bridge was our only chance. Grover had just made it to the other side and was setting Annabeth down. We had to make it across too, before the giant caught us. Grover! I yelled. Get Annabeth's knife! His eyes widened when he saw the Cyclops behind us, but he nodded like he understood. As Clarice and I scrambled across the bridge, Grover began swaying, sawing at the ropes. The first strand went snap. Polyphemus bounded after us, making the bridge sway wildly. The ropes were now half cut. Clarice and I dove for solid ground, landing beside Grover. I made a wild slash with my sword and cut the remaining ropes. The bridge fell away into the chasm, and the Cyclops howled with delight, because he was standing right next to us.
Failed,
he yelled gleefully.
Nobody failed.
Clarice and Grover tried to charge him, but the monster swatted them aside like flies. My anger swelled. I couldn't believe I'd come this far. Lost Tyson, suffered through so much, only to fail. Stopped by a big stupid monster in a baby blue tuxedo kilt. Nobody was going to swat down my friends like that. I mean nobody. Not nobody. You know what I mean. Strength coursed through my body. I raised my sword and attacked. Forgetting that I was hopelessly outmatched, I jabbed the Cyclops in the belly. When he doubled over, I smacked him in the nose with the hilt of my sword. I slashed and kicked and bashed until the next thing I knew, Polyphemus was sprawled on his back, dazed and groaning, and I was standing above him, the tip of my sword hovering over his eye. Polyphemus moaned. Percy! Grover gasped. How did you...
Please, no!
The Cyclops moaned, pitifully staring up at me. His nose was bleeding. A tear welled in the corner of his half-blind eye.
My sheepies need me. Only trying to protect my sheep.
He began to sob. I had won. All I had to do was stab. One quick strike. Kill him! Clarice yelled. What are you waiting for? The Cyclops sounded so heartbroken, just like Tyson. He's a Cyclops, Grover warned. Don't trust him. I knew he was right. I knew Annabeth would have said the same thing. But Polyphemus sobbed. For the first time, it sank in that he was a son of Poseidon too. Like Tyson. Like me. How could I just kill him in cold blood? We only want the fleece, I told the monster. Will you agree to let us take it? No, Clarice shouted. Kill him! The monster sniffed.
My beautiful fleece, prize of my collection. Take it, cruel human. Take it and go in peace.
I'm going to step back slowly, I told the monster. One false move. Polyphemus nodded like he understood. I stepped back, and as fast as a cobra, Polyphemus smacked me to the edge of the cliff.
Foolish mortal,
he bellowed, rising to his feet.
Take my fleece. I eat you first.
He opened his enormous mouth, and I knew that his rotten molars were the last thing I would ever see. Then something went whoosh over my head, and thump. A rock the size of a basketball sailed into Polyphemus's throat. A beautiful three-pointer, nothing but net. The Cyclops choked, trying to swallow the unexpected pill. He staggered backwards, but there was no place to stagger. His heel slipped, the edge of the cliff crumbled, and the great Polyphemus made chicken wing motions that did nothing to help him fly as he tumbled into the chasm. I turned. Halfway down the path to the beach, standing completely unharmed in the midst of a flock of killer sheep, was an old friend.
Bad Polyphemus,
Tyson said.
Not all Cyclopses as nice as we look.
Tyson gave us the short version. Rainbow, the hippocampus, who'd apparently been following us ever since Long Island Sound, waiting for Tyson to play with him, had found Tyson sinking beneath the wreckage of the CSS Birmingham and pulled him to safety. He and Tyson had been searching the Sea of Monsters ever since, trying to find us, until Tyson caught the scent of sheep and found this island. I wanted to hug the big oaf, except he was standing in the middle of killer sheep. Tyson, thank the gods! Annabeth is hurt.
You thank the gods she's hurt?
He asked, puzzled. No! I knelt beside Annabeth and was worried sick by what I saw. The gash on her forehead was worse than I'd realized. Her hairline was sticky with blood. Her skin was pale and clammy. Grover and I exchanged nervous looks. Then an idea came to me. Tyson, the fleece. Can you get it for me?
Which one?
Tyson said, looking around at the hundreds of sheep. In the tree, I said. The golden one.
Oh, pretty. Yes.
Tyson lumbered over, careful not to step on the sheep. If any of us had tried to approach the fleece, we would have been eaten alive. But I guess Tyson smelled like Polyphemus, because the flock didn't bother him at all. They just cuddled up to him and bleated affectionately, as though they expected to get sheep treats from the big wicker basket. Tyson reached up and lifted the fleece off its branch. Immediately, the leaves on the oak tree turned yellow. Tyson started wading back toward me, but I yelled, "No time! Throw it!" The golden ram's skin sailed through the air like a glittering shag frisbee. I caught it with a grunt. It was heavier than I'd expected. 60 or 70 pounds of precious gold wool. I spread it over Annabeth, covering everything but her face, and prayed silently to all the gods I could think of, even the ones I didn't like. Please, please. The color returned to her face. Her eyelids fluttered open. The cut on her forehead began to close. She saw Grover and said weakly, "You're not married?" Grover grinned. "No, my friends talked me out of it." "Annabeth," I said, "just lay still." But despite our protests, she sat up, and I noticed that the cut on her face was almost completely healed. She looked a lot better. In fact, she shimmered with health, as if someone had injected her with glitter. Meanwhile, Tyson was starting to have trouble with the sheep.
"Down,"
he told them, as they tried to climb him looking for food. A few were sniffing in our direction.
"No, sheepies. This way. Come here."
They heeded him, but it was obvious they were hungry, and they started to realize Tyson didn't have any treats for them. He wouldn't hold out forever, with so much fresh meat nearby. "We have to go," I said. "Our ship is..." The Queen Anne's Revenge was a very long way away. The shortest route was across the chasm. And we just destroyed the only bridge. The only other possible way was through the sheep. "Tyson," I called. "Can you lead the flock as far away as possible?"
The sheep want food.
"I know. They want people food. Just lead them away from the path. Give us time to get to the beach, then join us there." Tyson looked doubtful, but he whistled.
Come, sheepies. People food this way.
He jogged off into the meadow, the sheep in pursuit. "Keep the fleece around you," I told Annabeth, "just in case you're not fully healed yet. Can you stand?" She tried, but her face turned pale again. Oh, not fully healed. Clarice dropped next to her and felt her chest, which made Annabeth gasp. "Ribs are broken," Clarice said. "They're mending, but definitely broken." "How can you tell?" I asked. Clarice glared at me. "Because I've broken a few, runt." "I'll have to carry her." Before I could argue, Clarice picked up Annabeth like a sack of flour and lugged her down the beach. Grover and I followed. As soon as we got to the edge of the water, I concentrated on the Queen Anne's Revenge. I willed it to raise anchor and come to me. After a few anxious minutes, I saw the ship rounding the tip of the island.
"Incoming!"
Tyson yelled. He was bounding down the path to join us, the sheep about 50 yards behind, bleating in frustration as their Cyclops friend ran away without feeding them. "They probably won't follow us into the water," I told the others. "All we have to do is swim for the ship." "With Annabeth like this?" Clarice protested. "We can do it," I insisted. I was starting to feel confident again. I was back in my home turf, the sea. Once we get to the ship, we're home free. We almost made it, too. We were just wading past the entrance to the ravine when we heard a tremendous roar and saw Polyphemus, scraped up and bruised, but still very much alive, his baby blue wedding outfit in tatters, splashing towards us with a boulder in each hand. Gulp. Yikes, dudes. Jinkies. Like zoinks. That Polyphemus guy's a real twat. Man, oh man. Yeah, guys. These were some good chapters. That last one was full of action. Whew. And dude, Annabeth getting hurt. Frick. Dude, I don't know, man. I'm so glad she was able to be healed, but she's still, I don't know, they're all in danger. I don't know about you guys, I'm stressed out. Also, Tyson's back. Tyson is back? Let's go. Tyson is back. Dude, praise everything that is good and Tyson-like. I'm so glad too, man. Dang. Heck yeah. So Tyson is back. They have the fleece. But they are now flanked on both sides. The sheep incoming. And Polyphemus not defeated yet. Tyson, baby! Definitely not that one. I know. I know. You mean not this guy? Yeah, thankfully that guy has stayed away. For the most part. He at least waited till the end of stream to show up. Well, guys, yeah, nice. This fit right into the time range I was hoping for too. Turns out, like, we can read through 3 chapters within the 2.5 hour range. It only takes about 2 hours to do it. Just pretty sweet. Thanks for the frog, Caroline. Are you getting close to? Well, I mean, have you been working? How's the progress? I have been staring. Let those fingers move, dude. You can do it. Let those fingers find a fire. Let them riddle the keys with a cacophony, a symphony of tips and taps. Caroline, you know things about things. I don't know, don't you have like references? And I mean, you made the outline, right? Did you just leave like big gaps where you need to fill in stuff with your own knowledge? If I didn't have to use scholarly sources and could just do 5 pages with my opinions based off of class, I would already have it done. I just hate writing from sources. I get that. My junior year of high school, had to do that a lot with my history class. It was not fun. But I'm betting you've done something like this before, right? So you have it in you. I know you do. Oh, heck yeah. I'm glad somebody does. I hear that, dude. I definitely got rid of pretty much all of my like papers and school like things. I kept the pages with like cute little doodles that I remember fondly doodling in class, but I didn't keep any papers, didn't keep any report cards. All that stuff was, I don't know. It's not important at this point. Dude, sources suck because you get like 3 that give you all the info you need, and it just sucks finding and implementing however many more you need. Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. That really be how it is. All of mine had to be from online books from our school's library, and it's impossible to read. I can read it aloud for you. But that might take a while. Omni, I can't tell if you're being sarcastic. Hard to tell through the text. Nice. Sweet, dude. Yeah, honestly, research isn't too bad. But I have a feeling if it's about... What was it again? I'm gonna scroll up to find it. About discrimination in 1820s Brazil. That could be interesting. I love doing research on shit I care about. But like the argument I'm forming about this film about 1820s Brazil does not need a primary source. I love going through academic journals and seeing what they've sourced and going to their sources and just going down the rabbit hole. Dang. Omni, you are a, I don't know, you're a cool chap. I don't know many people that do that. But I'm glad some people do. mean, they put those sources down there for a reason. They work hard to like make sure people can access them. So you're putting them to good use. I just can't do it with this, with God forbid, deadlines. I do film studies at university. Nice, dude. Are you, but what are you studying film for? Like to, or rather, like, what are you hoping to get into in the industry? Want to teach? Heck yeah, dude. I'm currently like sort of a teacher. I'm a coach at a gymnasium. You brave soul. I agree, Caroline. You are a brave soul. Honestly, yeah. To go into teaching is it's an endeavor. Not an easy one. My mom would kill me if I became a teacher. Shoot. Does she just really not want that for you? I don't know, there's rewarding parts to it. Like any job, it has its, times where things will be harder, but it can be outweighed by the benefits from it. The fulfillment that comes from it. I don't know. But pursue what it is that you feel you're good at and want to do. And if that is teaching, then go for it, dude. Go for it. Go for it. Frog. I like that frog is kind of like Pog, right? Like, can I just say things are frog now? I love film history. Yeah, man, I do too. I like history in general. I don't nearly get the chance to look into it nearly as much nowadays because I don't really do that on my own time, sadly. But history was one of my favorite subjects when I was in this school. Frog champ. Frog champ. Ribbit. You like my frog noises? My mega passion is looking at how different genres evolve over time, looking at how they respond to politics of the era and location. Heck yeah. Honestly, that's just a big thing with me and looking at media in general. I do like taking the time machine back, and then understanding, the circumstances behind it. I just find that super fascinating as well. In fact, one thing that I would think would be good for me to look into is why Sarah Teasdale wrote there will some coughed rains. What? Why Sarah Teasdale wrote "There Will Come Soft Rains." What was going on during the time when she wrote it. Same with Ray Bradbury and when he adapted it into the story. That'd be a cool little tidbit of info. Well, heck yeah, dudes. I ask at the end of streams, like always, did you have a favorite chapter, a favorite moment from tonight? What did you feel stuck out to you? And I will also share my own thoughts on it. That's like all my cinema studies classes. It's good stuff. Absolutely. I think my favorite chapter of the bunch. That's a tough call. I think it was the last one. It was action packed, had some tender, heartfelt moments,
between the gang. And Tyson returning. I mean, come on. Hard to beat that. Yeah, dude. And this is the book that like that really starts to kind of hint at like just how much like Percy actually cares about Annabeth. Percy having the realization that Polyphemus was not only like Tyson because Cyclops, but also because he was a son of Poseidon, got me in the feels. Yo, no doubt about that. Yeah, man. I hope I did that part justice too. I did really feel the emotion from that part. The inner turmoil, the inner turmoil that like goes through his head is rough, man. He sits there and recognizes this is technically my brother. And also like imagine seeing a huge like 11-foot tall beast of a being with one eye and a monstrous stature suddenly on his back weeping and wailing before you as you stand above him. Dude, that would get me too, man. I'd be like, oh frick, like did he actually change his ways? Let's go. No worries. I get that it was dude and not dud. Hell yeah, you did, dud. But thank you. I appreciate that. I feel I did pretty good on these chapters. Thankfully, I had some good material to work with. It's been so long since I've read these books, and honestly, I think looking back, I remember or recall that they just got better and better as the books went on, and I'm pretty sure that that's the case. If this book is already like giving us moments like that, then I can't wait for the next one. Also, is it... Sorry, there's something I want to talk about, but it's definitely a spoiler for either the Heroes of Olympus series or towards the end of this series. So I won't mention it. But there's one moment that, like, I think it is this series that was... Dude, it was mind-boggling to my 12-year-old brain. One of, like, the greatest acts. I'll just say this: it was one of the greatest acts of love that I have read in a book. Super duper cool, dude. Excuse me. Heck yeah, man. We had a lot of peeps tonight. Thank you everybody who decided to show up and hang out. I think I'm gonna start like working towards the outro here. Oh, but first a question: what's the worst book I've ever read? Oh, what was it called? Oh, it was one that I read for an English class. Dude, even thinking about it just like grinds my gears. What was the name? It had to do with like a captain. It was Harry Potter. If I could ever keep track of a schedule, I'd be here every time, my boy. Oh, well, hey, like I said to Omni, you show up when you can show up, and I'll appreciate your presence whenever you're here. Loki can't stand Harry Potter? For real? I didn't read past the second book. Decided to take the movie route from there. Don't be mad at me. I was young and stupid. Old book about the captain? Dude, sorry, I'm trying to find Captain. No, it was not Captain Courageous. I usually can show up, I just don't because I'm playing Animal Crossing. Shoot. You can play Animal Crossing and listen if you like. As long as I'm not too distracting. Which, I mean, have you seen me? Like, come on. It's understandable that I would be distracting. Wink. Lol. Anyways, the worst book that I read, I'm forgetting the Yes, indeed. I'm forgetting the title of the book, but it was about a captain, right? And like the idea for it was cool. It was about like a kid that like lost his parents, I think, and started living with like an old sea captain. And it was just kind of like a retelling, almost like I think it was almost like a Between the Lions kind of deal, where like it was just a retelling of like the old man's stories primarily, or like what had happened to him. But dude, the way it was written, it was just a slog to get through. I just like it by the end of it, like I was furious that I had to read it. So bad, dude. A couple of my favorites though, I'm not as big a fan of talking about least favorite things because it's negative, dude. I like positive stuff. Some of my favorites though are The Bronze Bow. That one is so good. Talk about like impactful moments. Towards the end of that book is insane. It's so good. It's like a little hard to get into at first, but if you stick with it, it is a killer title. The other one of my favorites is The Phantom Tollbooth. That was like my favorite from like early childhood years. Just really freaking cool. Like that's one that I revisited throughout like my days of living at home, growing up. I also loved the Percy Jackson series, of course. The Hunger Games also, not gonna lie, I really loved those. I remember being told we had to read Of Mice and Men in high school, and so I went home and read it over the weekend. By reading Of Mice and Men, they meant reading it in class over like 6 weeks. Dude! Shoot, man. Come on, though. It had to have felt pretty sweet, like walking into class. Well, I don't know. There was probably a sense of like, of dread of like, oh man, I read this entire thing already. Now I'm gonna have to sit through it again. But I mean, oh, it's a tiny book. I don't know. Still though, like, did anybody else do that? I don't think so. I also remember there was one that I read that was really cool. Again, I don't remember the title, but it was about a person who switches bodies every day, wakes up in a different body every single day, and it's a love story where it's called Every Day. Whoa! You know it? Everyday book. By David Leviathan. Or is it Levithan? Levithan. Levithan. Leviathan. Levithan. Something like that. One of your faves? Heck yeah. It honestly, I mean, I'm a sucker for like a romance novel, but or like a romance like story, but a romance story with a twist like that. Super freaking cool. That was a sweet one. Yeah. I remember really loving that one. Heck yeah. I tried to read The Brothers Karamazov, and I remember remember being fond of it, but it was a difficult book. Like that once you actually dug through, or once I actually dug through, like with my rhetoric teacher, I'll call him Mr. Lola. With Mr. Lola, we Leviathan, or Leviathan. So I had it right the first time. Solid. Heck yeah. Yeah, the Brothers Karamazov was hard to get into, but like the things hidden within its words, like once I actually deciphered like what was going on in it, it was really good. Also, sorry, Omni. I forgot that it was a tiny book. Mostly because I haven't read it. Yeah, Of Mice and Men. That's the one about being a man, though, right? Or like how to be a man. That's like the theme or something. I may have that wrong, but I don't know. Be a man. You must be swift as a coursing river, with all the strength of a great typhoon. And all the something of a raging fire, and mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Oh yeah. Sorry, any chance I get to sing Be a Man, I will take it. No questions asked. Probably my favorite Disney song, not gonna lie. I don't know, that or the one from Beauty and the Beast. That one's just sweet. Yeah, the main one. Beauty and the Beast. What do you want to read after Percy Jackson? Thank you, Kramples. I was gonna take like a poll and see, because we're gonna finish the Percy Jackson series for sure. Read through the 5 books. We're on the second one, and guys, like freaking look at that. Can you see that? We are so close. We're so schmoving through this book. Oh yo, the Hunchback does have some good ones. We're going to read through the Percy Jackson series, and then I'm going to take a poll as to whether we want to move on to the Heroes of Olympus series, continue on with the Percy Jackson train, or if we want to switch to a different series. Another one I'd love to read is the Hunger Games series. I do like that one a lot. I'm down with reading single books as well. But yeah, that's another thing that you can Hercules, dude, I can't believe I forgot that one. Hercules Bobs. That's the I don't care how far, someday I'll be there. I know every mile will be worth my while. I could go most anywhere, I would go most anywhere to feel like I belong. I can go the distance, dude. Let's go. That's it, dude. I mean, that's talk about encouraging songs, man. That one's a banger. I really dislike the Hunger Games because Suzanne Collins is a liar. Well, I don't know. I think I'm in the department where I don't judge the, I don't know. If the writer does something bad or is a bad person, I don't feel anything different for the books that they've written. I'll feel different about them themselves, right? Like I'll feel different if I find out that they, stole a really expensive thing or did some kind of bad crime, or whatever it is. But I don't know. I won't take it out on the things that they've written, you know? Because it doesn't make sense. She claimed to have never heard of Battle Royale, a better book, but authors never ever do any research when they write. Gotcha. She may have been doing that to like save her skin. That's still not a good excuse. It depends to me about how much of an influence those things they do / say have on the work. So yeah, certainly. Yeah, I guess so. And yeah, I guess it could deter from like, yeah, how I feel about it. It's one of those like once you know, you can't unknow. Yes, I've never heard of one of the most influential novels and films of all time. Like, come on. I haven't heard of it, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm not super knowledgeable. But shoot. Huh. Well, I don't know then. Like I said, I'd be happy to take like a poll, and figure out, yeah, what you, and it'd be good for it to come from not my perspective too, because I'd really love to know, like, since you guys listen in, you know, what do you feel my voice would be best suited for? You know, where do you think I would what piece of literature would I shine in, you know, to be able to read? And which one would you like to be heard, or would you like to hear? Like a Woody Allen situation makes the movie Manhattan unwatchable, but J.K. Rowling's transphobic comments don't have any bearing on what Harry Potter is about. That's fair. That is fair. Yeah. I don't know. It's a tough subject for me. For the most part, like, I don't really look into who the author was. Hope I'm not looked at like looked down upon for that. If I am, so be it. But I don't know. I try to just like take from the literature what I can take, and yeah, try to learn something from it or gain something from it, regardless of how the author felt or what the author did. If reading like what the author has done to like that did influence it would be like meaningful to me, or would, you know, increase the experience, or would gain me some more some better perspective, then I'm definitely for it. You think it does? Tough needle to thread. See, if I'm reading / watching something, I want to know who made it. Have you read The Mysterious Benedict Society? I don't think I have. The Mysterious Benedict Society. That, it sounds really familiar. And I think I know what it is, maybe. Omni, you haven't either? It would be a fun one to read on stream? Heck yeah. Also, curious to hear what you guys think about me maybe bringing on a guest. Well, I will without a doubt have guests on Thursday, since we're doing D&D stuff. Woo! Whoop whoop. Whoop whoop. Woot. Woot woot. Hype. Yeah, Coleman will be on Thursday. With the gaggle of goobers that have assembled for some D&D. Which I am really hyped for. I'm trying to figure out like a aw, hey dad. I love you, Dad. Thanks for coming. Sorry, I got distracted. Heck yeah. Guys, that's Mary Dad. Or let's see, what could we call him? Dandy Dad. We'll call him Dandy Dad. B1's is Dandy Dad. Welcome to the chat, Dad. We've finished our chapters for the night, but I'm glad you showed up. Right now we're talking about how an author's actions, or really like anybody who's created media, how their actions affect their works, and whether or not that detracts from the works themselves. Which is a bit of a tough topic, but I'm all for bringing up tough subjects, especially if they revolve around literature. Yeah, man. I don't know. Meh. Also, guys, I'm trying to come up with, like, I was noodling with lyrics before the stream here for that for a song that will hopefully be the intro for Thursdays. And I don't know whether to make two separate ones, right? Since we're alternating between D&D and Lancers, so two different campaigns. We're alternating week by week. I don't know whether to make a different intro for each, which I think would probably be the preferable route, or one that's more generalized and would work for both. I don't know. I want to put in the extra work, I think, to... No, not I think. I want to put in the extra work to make it clear, like, which night it is, you know? That way people coming into the stream will know, hey, this is the Lancer night, or hey, this is the D&D night. Heck yeah. And the lyrics for the D&D campaign I'm thinking about is gonna be maybe something, since the main deal with the world is that the sun has disappeared and vanished from the sky, so that the world is set into a perpetual darkness. That was like a big event, like, in the world that happened, I think, 10 years prior to when we start the campaign. So I was gonna kind of base it off of that concept, you know, since that's probably gonna be the main, like, thing that we're trying to figure out in it. Then again, I don't know, it is D&D. we'll see. But since that's like the biggest thing about the campaign, I was thinking of basing it off of that. And Caroline, you might be able to help, or heck, you're working on a paper. But I don't know. I could, if you have spare time, I could definitely use help with some lyrics. I would love for you to hear, though, the sci-fi intro, Caroline, to tell me what you think. I think it's super rad. I would rather do anything else than my homework. I get you. Yeah, I could either send it your way, or we could all listen to it here if we wanted to. I'm down if you guys are down. I am proud of it, and do want to send it out to the masses as best I can. What mic do I use? This is a... Hang on, let me refer to my list. This is a... It's loading up. It's called... Oh, it's a Mono. Mono. MAONO. USB microphone, 0 latency, monitoring mono AU-PM422. Yeah, I'm gonna be working on oh, right on. Night, Dad. Sleep tight. I'm gonna put together, yeah, like my specs, I think, because a lot of other streamers have that, like, in the down below section, and that would probably be, I guess that's something that would be good to put down there. Moana. I'm using a Moana for a microphone. It's the actual, girl. She's just sitting behind the desk right now. Actually, this is a prop. If you need help with mics and audio stuff, then I can probably help. Nice. Yeah, dude. Definitely looking to improve my stream whenever I can. So yeah, if you ever have advice, I imagine it sounds pretty alright now. I have like pretty small room, which kind of helps. I think the only thing about this mic is it's good about cutting out like white noise, but I feel like it doesn't carry bass quite as well. That's my only like tribulation with it. And I use a different one for recording my vocals, the Samson G-Track Pro. With your voice, an SM7B would sound incredible. However, it's a really expensive mic. Yeah, I don't know if I'll splurge on anything like that until I make more money over the summer here with summer camps that I'm working, or wind up with winding up an affiliate and get subscriptions and whatnot, or get a fair amount of dough from the donations. Have you learned nothing from me teaching you about audio engineering in high school? Hey, I've learned a lot. Does this not sound good? Or at least adequate? Yeah, I mean, I know a fair amount. Like, I know some. Sounds okay. Yeah. I imagine it's not like I don't know, it's not the fanciest. And especially my webcam is not the fanciest either. Yeah, for a USB mic, it's okay. Yeah, I do have an audio processor, like a Behringer. But I don't know. That mic, and I have an MXL microphone, but I think that one's more for vocal recording. Don't know. If you want an audio box, I have an old one I do not use. What is an audio box? Is that a sweet microphone? Audio box. Oh, it's an audio processor? Audio interface, yes. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that would be helpful. That'd be really helpful. Can you plug the USB mic into it? Or does it only take what are they? XLRs. Think just XLR. Yeah, fair enough. But I'd have to check. Audio interfaces will only take XLRs. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't know. I could even try like with my MXL microphone. It was I don't know. It was like a $100 mic, but it is my only XLR cable microphone. So I could try, like, if I have a free day coming up like next week, I could try one of these streams and see how it does, like with my Behringer and like the audio interface and all that. And if it winds up sounding better, then yeah, I don't know, that would be good. It'd be cool to like try to use what I have first. Recommend the AT2020. It's really good for the price. Fair enough. Yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind. I must go take my moose outside, but this was fun. Farewell. Yeah, I'm gonna start wrapping up the stream here, guys. But this was nice. It was cozy. I really appreciate these streams because whenever I'm reading, even if I'm dealing with struggles or tribulations or anything like that, when I'm reading, all there is me, the words, my performance, and you guys, which is just a really simple thing, you know? And it's something I appreciate immensely. I'm loving doing it, and you guys being here means the world to me. So I'm gonna load up the outro music and call it a night. So guys, as always, you know, I pray you all take the merriment that we have made today and go spread it to others. Keep some of it for yourself, you know, but don't forget to spread the merriment and love yourself and others. Alright, cool beans. I love you guys bunches, and I'll catch you tomorrow, wildflowers. Good night, guys.